Hello everyone in 2022. I hope this year will be much better than the last one and more board games will end up at our shelves. So let's start describing the components and what is the pledge level tier. So if you support the campaign with the Seeker pledge, you will receive the box with one missing deck of cards, because this deck of cards is from the Scorned expansion. So you should have one deck less in the box and 4 empty spaces. That's because 4 renegades are outside the box. Of course, the board tiles, the hero tiles, all the tokens, all the components that you will use during the game, you will have in the box with the rulebook and the scenario book. If you support with the Vitung's pledge, you will receive the box with all deck of cards, and each of these heroes will end up also in the box. So you should have all miniatures in the box. So in case you will see some empty spaces, just contact with me and we will sort this out. The same goes for the Kickstarter extended edition that you can acquire through the Gamefound. This is exactly the same as a Vitung, so you will receive all cards, all miniatures, and all the Kickstarter exclusive and stretch goals. If you pledge for the tribe leader, additionally to all those components, you additionally will get the wood components. So extra 4 wooden hero tiles and the engraved big box. In case of the Vitung's Oath bundle, to all the miniatures, all the cards, you also get all the 3 big expansions. So here we have our Holy Dragon with a new hero and a deck of cards, the Timer Guts with the extra deck of cards, and the Pochara set that contains mainly miniatures. And the last pledge is Black Timor. This will give you everything you see here. Basically all the components for the game and the wood components with the big expansions. And now let's see the cards and how to organize them properly for the game. During the campaign, we managed to unlock plenty of stretch goals. This hugely increased the number of the cards. So in the basic game, we have 550 cards, but because we unlocked Into the Wild and you receive this as a free add-on because of the success of the campaign, it's over 600 cards. If you have additionally the Scorned Renegades, you have 660, and of course with the Legends additional 110, so you will end up with 770 cards. And if you acquire the big expansions, the Timer Guts and the Holy Dragon, the final count of the cards will be 880 cards. So remember, this game has already 4 small expansions and the 3 big ones. So it's the rules and everything it was a challenge to describe this in the very simple way. So we need this kind of video to explain how you're supposed to order all these cards, how you're supposed to reorganize them and have ready them for a single scenario or for the campaign. The easiest way is just to separate them by the box. So when you check the deck, you will see that, for example, here we have enemy cards, so we may put them aside, and the rest of the cards are Saga cards. So, and they should be stacked in order, but for now we just put the Saga cards aside, and then we will organize them for the play. So let's check the second deck, and again we have some enemy cards. So okay, this will be a second pile. And more Saga cards. So this will be combined together later. Here we have a deck that it mainly have enemy cards, so yeah, it's another one. Another few enemy cards. This is one companion, so he will go into the Saga cards. And here we have exploration cards. So this will be our next pile. Those are attacks for the boss and scenario cards. So this will be our another pile. Let's check here some exploration cards too. Those scenario cards are set as in sets, so it's okay if we just put them similar to the Saga cards, and then during the scenario we will choose only some parts of those cards. In the game where we don't use any epic battle, or for example only we fighting with the more, we will use one set of those cards. But to keep this quite simple, just proceed with a selection of types according to the box. So here we have another set of attacks and boss cards and scenario cards. So this will be another pile of the scenario cards. Here we have exploration mainly. So yeah, this has also a lot of exploration cards. And here another companions. Let's put them here. Exploration cards. Yeah. Those are fit cards, but they will be used with other Saga cards and more Saga cards. So yeah, so this is basically another pile of the Saga cards. Those are Timor cards, the mark of Timor. So each hero will choose one of them. Then I think those are only 4. The Scorned Renegades have a similar that will join this kind of cards. Here we have our creature deck that we will be able to summon. And our heroes, gods, and items. Okay, so as we can see that we have scenario cards, enemy, gods, Timor, heroes, items, creatures, a huge pile of exploration cards, and plenty of interesting Saga cards. Now with the expansions, the same we do the same thing. So if we choose the deck with the Into the Wild, we can see that we have some extra exploration cards here, new heroes, some feats, and more Saga cards. So this will end up here. And this is Scorned Renegades, so they will provide some extra enemies, new heroes, additional 4 mark of Timor cards, but you will always choose this from this pile to select your starting region, and those will be additional because of the special abilities of these heroes. And of course Saga cards for those new heroes. I will keep these cards for now separate, just to show you how the Sequel Pledge looks like. Of course, if you play with the Vitung set or the Kickstarter exclusive expansion set from the Gamefound, you will use all those cards. And here are two types. I mean, one type or two decks of the Legends, and this is a special type of cards. You don't use them normally during the single scenario, and I will explain them in another video because they have special rules, right? So, as you can see, all those cards are in the main box. Of course, during the game you will use only part of them. Rest of them will be waiting in the box. And just to summarize this, we have scenario cards, enemy cards, gods, timer cards, heroes, items, creatures, exploration, and saga. And now I will explain each of the deck and how you set up them for the first scenario. Okay, so we've made the selection of the cards and now we will prepare them for the first scenario. So the simple way is to just separate the cards that will always be near the board while we are playing. So for example, items, those cards always be near the board. We choose one hero. If you play, of course, with more players, choose more heroes. And the rest of the cards, of the hero cards, are set aside the board. While you choose your hero, you will choose one of the 4 starting Mark of Timur's cards. So after you choose one per hero, the rest cards will be set, for example, in the organizer, in the box, or somewhere more far from the board game. All gods are in the play, so similar to items, just put them near the board game. And we have our creature deck, and there are few exceptions here. 4 devil cards, and at the beginning I advise to remove them from this deck. They will later join the game during a special scenario, but after you complete few games you always may add them to this deck to increase the gameplay experience. So yes, those are mainly like basic set of cards that will be used in all scenarios and campaigns. And now we will talk about the exploration decks, enemy decks, scenario, and the saga cards. Okay, so now we will check the cards that we mark as a scenario cards. So here there are few types. I mean, we have a Herald card, the main enemy, his attacks, and here are black pages and pages of down. So each enemy boss is created in a similar way. So you have a main card of the enemy. It might be few cards, so you will choose randomly which one is your enemy, and the set of attacks, page of down, and black page. In the first scenario, Path of the Chosen One, we don't use any of those cards because the Herald is, in this case Agmor, is outside the game. When you play the second scenario, you use only Herald with his attacks. And the second scenario is the memory of the world, and the rest of the scenarios are parts of the campaigns, and then you will use all the decks for particular enemy. So in this case we will put all those cards away from the board, because in the first scenario, path of the chosen one, we don't use them, and I will explain them in another video about more advanced gameplay. Now we will check the enemy cards, and you will see that some of the enemies has an icon here. This is a breed icon, and there are like tribes, so each scenario will tell you which one you use. So it is good to separate them. For example, here we have fiends, and scornet ones. Yeah. Some droners. Rot fiends. And Upirs. And according to the first scenario, those breeds will be constructing the main enemy deck and the deck that will be upgrading them. So all those cards will be used during the first scenario. Rest of the breeds will join the game in different scenarios. So those cards will be put aside. And yes, this was enemy decks. The construction of the enemy deck and how it upgrades will be discussed during the gameplay. Now let's talk about the exploration cards. So there are plenty of them, and the key point is to separate them for the standard cards and those that has a ZERYWIA tail mark. It's in an icon of a map, because all of those cards will be a standard exploration deck that we will use during the game. The rest of the cards have, similar to the enemy cards, has a marking, and this marking is describing the campaign that we will use these cards with those here. So here we have Rainet, Raid of the Scornet, Pochara's Awakening, Black Monolith, and the Stallness. And you will find 4 Light Chasers card, and you should, similar to the Devils, you should extract them from this basic deck. They will join the game later if the scenario card will tell you to do so, to shuffle them into the deck. So when you have the main set of the cards for the first scenario, you just separate them by the type. So here we have settlements, ruins, mountains, and wilderness. So during the game, when you will explore the regions, you will choose a corresponding card, reveal the card, read the instructions, and resolve the card. So yes, this is the set for the first scenario. We don't use those cards, so you can put them into the box. While you will playing different scenarios, you will just shuffle them into the main deck. And now we will go to the Saga Cards. It's time to talk about the Saga Cards, and this is our storytelling mode. This is how we upgrade our character, how we explore the land, find new quests, discover mystery stories. So yeah, Saga Cards are the core system of this adventure, and there are a few types of cards here. So we have a feat cards those represent a special ability of each hero. So when we choose a Sphara, we choose a feat card that belongs to her, and so these are first 2 cards that we will be able to play during the game. We have our Mark of Timor and our feed card. The rest is set aside. And how the Saga deck is constructed. We have a basic Saga card. It's like, in this case, is a relic. And then the second card is a story card. So when we acquire this relic, we can use this relic on the player board. But the next step is to reveal this card, and this card will tell us what to do to explore this story more in depth. And depend of the direction of the storyline, we will choose, for example, Firebond or Buff in Blood. So this will lead us to the second part of the story, and then a third part of the story. And this called a story deck for this saga. And this is our basic Saga card. And the important is to separate them and create one huge deck that is built only from the cards with this symbol. Those are basic Saga cards. Each time you are allowed to acquire new Saga, you will choose between 2 options. A total different new type of a card, or if you already have this, you can acquire from the box the story of this card and start just to explore the story. And so it's up to you if you are more into the upgrading this item. This item will become more powerful, or you like to have more options. This is like a more multi-class system, so you have more answers for the game, but during a very difficult challenge it might be not enough to win the challenge. So yeah, from all those cards, choose all these cards with basic symbol. This will gives you the deck for the basic Saga cards. And there are a few types: Relic, Ritual, and Companion. So those cards will join the game. To finish the Saga cards selection, let's see what are the recommended first basic Saga card sets for Svara. So we have the Holy Terfang, the Quarrel, and Korra, Hope of Down, her sister. So those cards will start with the Svara during the first scenario. And how the scenario is played, the basic rules, how to finish this preparation and start the game, this will be in the next video. So as you can see, these cards, all those cards that are Saga cards, are put aside the board, and as you can see, those are main cards that you will use during the game. And later, playing different variants of the game, different modes, you will just customize these decks with additional cards. It's a huge amount of cards because, as I mentioned before, we unlocked many stretch goals, we unlocked new expansions, and of course, if you consider adding the cards from the big expansions, you will have much more game experience, so, and storytelling and adventure. So this is it for the first video. Thank you guys, and I hope that you enjoy it.